So then he tells Bhagwan Krishna, please make me your Shishya. I, uh, I don't know what to do. Tell me what I should do. And although chapter one is not, as I told you, it's not part of Gita teaching, it's an important message that it conveys to us. You'll see in chapter one that Arjuna is showing all the necessary conditions which are required to be taught. Not everybody is taught because everybody is not interested and everybody will not learn. So there are some conditions which are required before you can teach someone. And we talked about those three conditions, which is Sharanagati, which is one is that a person needs to be, have this understanding that all the things I've learned in my life, all the skills I've learned, all the wealth I've accumulated, all the wisdom that I have generated in this world is not enough to solve all my problems. So you come to a realization that, in spite of everything, I have a problem I can't solve. And then you say, it cannot be solved, but then I need someone else to help me. So you feel to you like you're going to surrender to a teacher and say, okay, I'm willing to listen. I have an open mind. I'm no longer trying to say, no, no, this is not possible, this is not right, and so on. There is some degree of Shraddha. And also, you have to find the right teacher. And then you have to say, please teach me, which is exactly what Arjun said. So all those conditions were met. It described how Arjun went through so much suffering and pain. It described how he talked to Shri Krishna and said, please teach me. And then Krishna Bhagwan smiled. In the middle of the battlefield, he smiled and said, okay, I'll teach you. So we said that um, the first thing he said was, there is no cause for worry, no cause for grief. Don't be, don't be sad, because it's natural to be sad. It's okay to be sad, but you can get over the sadness. And the way to get over the sadness is through self knowledge. What you want is self knowledge. You need to understand your own self, understand how your self is imperishable. You think you're going to be, all these conditions, all these circumstances are going to, you know, extinguish you or finish you, or you are nothing, you're helpless in front of them. That is not the case. These circumstances really don't affect you. They only seem to affect you a lot. Deep inside, you're very strong. You're nothing but God. You're divine. So these things have to be understood. When you understand this, then you are able to face the world much better from a position of strength. So he explained that. Then he also said in the next line, in the next verse, he said, you and I and all these kings, we never died. And we will never die. We were never born. We will never be born. It's our physical bodies which are dying and reborn, getting reborn, not me. So at that point, what we did was, I said, okay, to understand this verse, you really need to understand what does it mean by me? Is this me, my body? Is that what me means? Is it my brain? Is that what me means? What is it? So we
Physical
went
body.
the subtle body. So we went into that. We kind of went through that little understanding of what is the subtle body and the physical body. And then I also sent you a video. I don't know, I sent it rather late, so I don't know whether you guys had a time to look at it, but which explained a little bit more what subtle body and physical body is. So just to quickly reiterate, um, the physical body is what we are seeing, what we see here, what is visible to us, which science tells us all about. It's the body that we constantly relate to ourselves. But the subtle body is our mind, the pranas, the subtle sense organs, all of that. That is the subtle body. And the subtle body cannot be seen. You can't see it. But the subtle body is experienced in the sense that you know that there is somebody or something inside this body which is experiencing the world, which is seeing, which is, you cannot, if you try to trace down, let's say you're trying to say, who is it that is seeing? You can try and trace down, and science has done that. It said, okay, the light is coming into the eye From the eye, it's going to the retina. From the retina, it's going into our brain. Then it's going into the visual cortex. And then it gets spread all around in the brain. And after that, we don't know. We don't know what's happening. If we recreate exactly the same thing, we make we create the same brain, we recreate the same body, and we create everything the same, and now say see, right? That that person is not going to start seeing. That thing is not going to start seeing. There's something which sees, which has the experience, which is the experiencer which sees. That cannot be described by or explained by the physical body. That is our subtle body. And that subtle body, Bhagavan Krishna is saying, doesn't die. It just changes physical bodies. When the work, the karma for this janam is done, it's over, and there is no use for the physical body, then you discard the physical body, and then you take a new physical body. And when I say you, I mean your subtle body. In the Gita, whenever Bhagavan Krishna says you, he never means you as a physical body. He means you as the subtle body. And in fact, actually, sometimes he means you as the atma, which we've not even talked about, which is even more subtle in the subtle body. Atma is something else altogether. Okay, we'll talk about it though. So, this particular portion, is there any question or anything that you guys have not understood that you want to talk about? Are you clear what subtle body is and what physical body is?
Yes.
One question that I had was, if you, like we say, physical body is not the experiencer, but let's say I prick my hand with a pin, I'll feel the pain. Then who is feeling the pain?
The subtle body.
The subtle body. That's the important thing to understand. The pain may be happening is happening because somebody has um, hit your or pinched your skin, which is your physical body. But the pain is being felt by the
By the
subtle
subtle
body.
body.
So, for example, you could have situations where, there are some medicines, anesthetic medicines, which can numb the nerves. The nerves that carry the sensation from the skin to your brain, it can numb those nerves. They stop working. Then, even if you pinch the same pinch, you're not going to feel anything. There's no experience because the message is not gone of pain has not gone from the hand to your brain
To
and
the brain.
further from your brain to your subtle body. The message is not gone. So therefore, you don't feel the pain. Conversely, sometimes you have what's called phantom pains, like people who've got their legs amputated for some reason. They suddenly start feeling a pain in the leg, right? That leg which is not there. It's a very, it's a horrible phenomena because it's nothing. You can't even scratch it. You can't press it. You can't do anything about it. You're just feeling the pain. Because the pain we think is being felt in the leg, but actually it's being felt in our mind. When you go to sleep, when you have a dream, your body is immobile in the dream. You're not doing anything. You're sleeping, right? Completely immobile. But you can have an accident and feel the pain in the accident. Nothing has happened to your physical body. The pain is as real as the pain of the waking world. To you, the sleeping, the dream person, you don't even realize that you're in a dream. For you, it's a waking world. And you feel all the pain. You feel everything that you feel in the waking body. And the waking body is the body itself is just it's sleep. Nothing is happening there. So these things cannot be, these are only explained or understood by this idea of in Vedanta at least, by the idea of the subtle body. That there is a subtle body which uses this physical body as an instrument. And when it perceives things, there are two ways in which it can perceive. One is it perceives things which are in the waking world, in which this body is an instrument. This physical body is an instrument. So in the waking world, you need this physical body as an instrument. Okay? If you have to see, you need a camera. Your eye is like a camera. Your ear is like a microphone, which is hearing. Exactly the same. I can, I had cataract surgery. My lens is gone. I put a plastic lens. I can't tell the difference. It's not as if some part of me cannot see anymore. No difference. It's just a camera. But the seer is inside. So that is one kind of seeing. Another kind of perception happens when you are not in the waking world, when you're in the dream world. And there you have your dream body. You don't have this body, but you have a body in dream. To experience even in the dream, you need a dream body. It's if you have an accident and you have to feel a pain in your dream, it's the dream body which has to have that accident. It has to be hit by something, it has to feel the pain. Okay? Without the dream body, you won't feel anything. So, in fact, in Vedanta, the dream body is called Tejas in the dream. There's a name for the physical body, there's a name for the dream body, there's a name for the causal body, which is another third body, which we'll go into later. So, so that is how experience is understood in Vedanta through the idea of a subtle body.
Sorry, I want to interrupt. It's called what? Tejas.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Tejasaha. It's in the Mandukya Upanishad, that's what it is described as. It's not described in the Gita, but in the Mandukya Upanishad. So we are combining Vedanta and Gita a little bit here.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's how the uh, kind of the idea of the subtle body is there. And what happens when you die is you your subtle body, your physical body now has done whatever it needed to do in this world. Now your new set of experiences require a different physical body. So your subtle body gets a new physical body. And that's what we call reincarnation. From the standpoint of this waking world, we say ये आदमी था इसकी इसकी आत्मा चली गई या इसके प्राण चले गए, right? But that is a very limited standpoint from this world. Actually, from the standpoint of Vedanta, it says no, ये आदमी नहीं था जिसके प्राण चले गए, ये प्राण हैं जो इस आदमी में इस बॉडी में था, अब वो किसी और बॉडी में चले गए. So from there is a continuity. It's like waking up from sleep. When you go to sleep, the day is over. The next morning you wake up, right? It's a new day. Just like that is how death is described in Vedanta. So it's you are the same. You just, as a subtle body, just keep moving from one to another.
I think that's why they say that we never say rest in peace. We never say rest in peace because we never rest.
Okay, maybe yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very Western concept
Very
to say
Western concept.
rest in peace. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So part of what we have to do as we start learning this Vedanta more is try to change our own idea of ourselves. And slowly you'll see it is changing. You're going to start looking at yourself as the subtle body, not the physical body. And that is a very liberating idea. It's a very, and you'll see it makes a difference to how you react to this world. Because you're no longer, part of the reason why we get so stressed, why we get so hassled is because we think in the back of our mind, we have only this many years. ये बॉडी है, मैं बुढ़ी होती जा रही हूँ, बुढ़ा होता जा रहा हूँ, आई कैन डू लेस एंड लेस, मैंने कुछ नहीं करा, मुझे और करना है, आई गॉट ओनली 20 more years to live. That's what creates a lot of stress. But if you start thinking from the perspective of the subtle body, which is just like saying, okay, ये कपड़े गंदे हो गए, कल को नए कपड़े पहन लेंगे, then the stress of the life also changes. That is why they say Indians actually in the past, अब तो खैर Indians are very Western, were very low stress people. Stress is a very Western phenomena. At least it used to be. Now there's not much difference. Now we are all the same. Anyway, so now in this part of the Gita, the second chapter, we are going to take a long time because as we talk about the different verses in the second chapter, we need to explain a lot of the concepts. Once you understand it, then later chapters will go fast. So one thing that you need to understand right now, and I don't know how much of this you know, but I will just repeat it, is the law of karma. How does this reincarnation actually take place? It's dictated by the law of karma. Our understanding of the law of karma is usually very, very different. And I'm going to take you through what is actually understood as the law of karma in Vedanta and what is the implication of that. What does that mean if you look at law of karma like that? Okay. So if you don't have any questions right now, I'm just going to move on. Yeah. Go ahead, Akila. You're muted.
Yeah. So I was just wondering. So when you talk about this subtle body, is what actually moves from one physical body to the other.
Right.
Is there any kind of an attribute to the subtle body, or does it have any character of its own?
It does. It does. I
It
mean,
does.
yeah, it
How do
does
we?
in the sense that there are, if you think about the subtle body, it has the chitta, right? It has the mind. So the mind has four compartments, you can say, four modes. The antakarna, it's called the antakarna. So antakarna is, anta means inner, karna means instrument. So antakarna means our inner instrument. Like I told you, the body is our outer instrument, correct? Our body is our instrument for having experience. We also have an inner instrument. That inner instrument is called the mind or antakarna. This has multiple modes. So when this antakarna is in the mode of clarity of thought, in the mode that of knowledge, certainty, this same antakarna is called buddhi. It's called buddhi. When the antakarna is in the mode where the thoughts that are happening in the antakarna is what? It's just collection of thoughts. A lot of thoughts are happening in antakarna. माइंड में क्या होता है थॉट्स होती हैं थॉट्स एंड परसेप्शंस एंड इमोशंस सो व्हेन द थॉट्स आर अनसर्टन ये करूं या वो करूं ऐसे करूं या वैसे करूं आई एम नॉट श्योर लॉट ऑफ इमोशन इज इन्वॉल्व विच इज impeding clarity of thought that mode of antakarna is called the manas or the mind then we have a third mode of antakarna that mode of antakarna is called chitta that is the mode where the antakarna is being influenced by past memories lots of subconscious unconscious memories which are coming in which influence our thoughts like suddenly everything is fine and you start feeling depressed वो कहाँ से आई depression right कभी कभी होता है ना like सब कुछ there's no reason and you start crying I don't know whether आपके I went for this vipassana course once वो 10 दिनों के लिए ना in vipassana you have to be totally quiet कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते वो बुद्धिस्ट कोर्स है you can't talk to anybody you can't do anything यहाँ पे तो outlet है when you feel restless you start talking वहाँ पे there is no outlet so I remember some days I mean, like, you want to talk to people, you can't talk. And one day, suddenly, I realized I've started crying. I said, where did this crying come from? It just started crying, you know? So these are repressed, we don't even know, like, what all is in our mind. And when those things are active, it's the antakarna is called chitta. And then the fourth very important state of antakarna is called ahamkar. That is the state when the thoughts in the antakarna are the thoughts of I. Who am I? मैं ये हूँ. Like, I am a physical body. This thought is there. Or I am, no, when I've told you, replace that thought by the thought which says, I am the subtle body, then you have a different thought. I am a subtle body. When the thoughts in the mind are the thoughts relating you to something, to me, it's called ahamkar. Aham means I. When you say kara with anything, it means the creator. So this thought is the creator of I. ये जो हम कहते हैं ना हमारा I है, it's nothing but a thought. It's a thought which creates this notion of I, this separate me, different from everything else. It's just a thought. जो
It's
बच्चे
like
होते हैं ना,
ego.
हाँ?
It's like ego.
It's like ego. Yeah, you can call it like the ego, exactly. जो बच्चे होते हैं, if you look at a small child doesn't have this thought कि मैं अलग हूँ सबसे. A small child, when it feels hungry, it starts crying. It needs food. When it starts feeling pain, it starts, then it starts crying again. When it's happy, it starts laughing. उसके मन में ये नहीं होता मैं ऐसे हंस रहा हूँ और वो नहीं हंस रहा मैं सबसे अलग हूँ these thoughts they start coming to us later our parents tell us नहीं नहीं तेरे को ऐसे करना चाहिए don't let anybody touch you don't be bad to people things like that we over time world teaches us to create a separate identity called me and those thoughts which create this identity are called ahamkar I, aham, kar. Kara means creator, Aham means me. The thoughts which create the sense of me. These four kind of thoughts. Certain thoughts, knowledge wali, buddhi. Uncertain thoughts, which is confusion, manas. Thoughts which are coming from our unconscious and chitta. And the fourth one is ahamkara. These kind of thoughts. They are the four kinds of thoughts which create our antahkarna. आपको कहते हैं ना कि बुद्धि अलग है और मन अलग है. Use your buddhi, not your man. That is not correct technically. There is no separate buddhi and a separate man. It's the same organ, but in different modes we call it buddhi, in different modes we call it mana. And you'll see how there is actually not that clear demarcation between buddhi and man. You'll see that. We try to create that demarcation. Nahi, go by your mind, don't go by your brain. But we will be very unsuccessful when we live like that. We'll find constantly we are thinking we'll go by our buddhi, but we are going by our mind. It's like it's a very so Vedanta doesn't recognize that difference. It says it's the same organ, antakarna, which operates in different ways. It's saying your inner body has thoughts. Now, therefore, my antakarna is different from yours because it has its own collection of thoughts, its own collection of memories, its own collection of things which are coming from my karma. So there is a character to the antakarna too. But to your question, Akhila, beneath the antakarna even is the atma, which we haven't talked about because I didn't want to confuse you guys totally. Because every time I bring this, it's like a complete confusion for 2 or 3 lectures. Okay, there's something called the atma. That atma has no distinction between people. In fact, there is only one atma. मैं सोचता हूँ कि मेरी एक आत्मा है, आपकी एक और आत्मा है, किसी और की दूसरी आत्मा है. That is not correct. There is only one atma, which is common to not just all living beings, common to living and non-living beings. In English, we sometimes call it consciousness. It's, one way to think about it is, you say you have a phone. मेरे पास phone है ना? तो जो phone है, it's an iPhone, मेरा phone. That's the physical body iPhone. हो सकता है आपके पास Android हो. So there are 2 different physical bodies. अब मेरे phone में there is a software. That's my subtle body, my phone's subtle body. So the subtle body of my phone, which is the software, is different from the subtle body of your phone, which is your phone's software. But both of these are bodies. Bodies can't function on their own. They need some source to function. So what do you need for either phone to function? You need
The
electricity. You need electricity.
Software.
Yeah, software is there. Software is there. You have an iPhone and you have an Android. They both have different physical bodies. They both have software, so they both have subtle bodies also different. Software is a subtle body. But none of them will function without electricity. Is the electricity different between the iPhone and the Android?
No,
same.
it's the same.
Exactly the same. The same electricity, whether it's Android, iPhone, whether it's a fan, whether it is something else, it's exactly the same. So what is actually powering, what is enabling all this action of the iPhone to work?
The
Electricity.
electricity.
That is Atma. So you have a subtle body, you have a physical body, and you know how the physical body is the outer instrument, and it keeps changing. You have a subtle body, which is the inner instrument, which also receives the thoughts, and all these thoughts happen. But these thoughts need some enabler to be perceived. Where is the energy for the subtle body coming from?
From electricity.
That is Atma. Okay? So when you understand as Atma in our culture, Atma is not a soul. Soul is more like a subtle body, which is going from one body to another. Atma is what is underlying and common across all different bodies. When we say Advaita,
Consciousness.
Hanji, consciousness. But it's not
Yes.
the consciousness, we have to go through it. It's not the consciousness the way we understand it. We say na कि वो unconscious हो गया. If someone faints, he removes his consciousness is gone. That's not the consciousness we are talking about. It's called consciousness, but it's very, very subtle. So therefore, I was saying, since you asked the question, I introduced it. But knowing fully well that there will be a lot of questions on this. This is not an easy concept to understand. Can you imagine? Like when I first heard it, my teacher told me, your Atma is the same as the Atma of the pig. that sewer over there. I said, oh my God, right? It's the same Atma as the rock. It's the same Atma as Krishna Bhagwan. It's the same Atma. When we say your divinity, you have divinity, it's because the Atma is the same. So the same divinity flows through me. The same Atma that powered Krishna Bhagwan is powering me. And my true reality, actual reality, is not even my subtle body. My actual reality is that Atma. Because at some stage, even the subtle body goes. It's been never, so far it has never gone. It's been continuing. But a
No, this
stage
is
comes,
not clear.
that is called
This
moksha.
is not clear.
I know it's not clear,
This is
Didi.
not clear.
I would have been very
Because if you
surprised if it
say,
was clear.
no, because if you say the Atma is the same, then if you if you equate it, then everybody is the same.
Exactly. Absolutely. What do you think Vedanta is saying? Do you think Vedanta is saying that we are all different? We are seemingly
No,
different.
no. What I want to say कि हम लोग बोलते हैं कि उसकी conscious अलग है, उसकी conscious अलग है. Somebody does the right thing because the conscious tells it so. Somebody does the wrong thing because the conscious says it
No, we are
so.
talking not
So
about
what
conscious. Consciousness. Consciousness meaning
consciousness. Okay.
consciousness is different.
Okay.
Conscious is different.
हाँ.
Conscious is just
Ability
another
to
thought.
be.
It's a value structure. See, you got to understand, are you talking about thoughts or are you talking about that in which thoughts are occurring? So anyway, I think we are. I'm really very afraid that I'm going to completely confuse you guys. So let's keep this aside for now. Okay,
Okay.
just
That's better.
park it as something that has to be understood in the future. I'm just giving you a little appetizer, okay, to tell you what Vedanta is truly saying. The appetizer is it's saying that that at the end of the day, we are all the same Atma. And it seems very strange right now. It seems very counterproductive, very counterintuitive. But it is the thought which changes our life. It can change our outlook to life when we truly begin to understand what this is saying.
So
So
basically, there is physical, there is subtle body, there is physical body, there is subtle body, and there is Atma.
absolutely, yes.
These
And
are the
and and this
three.
is good enough to understand right now. Although technically you're
Yeah.
not totally right because I'll have to we'll need a
Go
lot
deeper.
of understanding before I uh, deviate from. But for the moment, what you're saying is right.
Okay.
There is the think about the iPhone. There is the phone, the physical
Yeah.
body of the phone, right? Which buttons you press and all that. There is the software inside the phone which you can't see. Can you see the software?
Yeah.
You can't see. Just like the subtle body, you can't see. But can you say there's no software? If there was no software, the phone won't operate.
It wouldn't work.
It won't work. If you don't have the subtle body, you'll be dead. You won't operate. But is it enough for the phone to have a physical body and a subtle body to work? If you remove the
There
battery, will
has
it
to
work?
be a
There
there
has
has
to
to
be
be something
electricity.
that charges it.
Exactly. That is Atma. And the charging is the same for all phones. I
Yeah.
can take out the battery
Yes.
from one phone and put it in another. It'll work.
Yeah.
Correct? So think about it
And
like that.
the subtle body has those four thoughts.
The
The
subtle
four
body has those four kinds of thoughts.
kinds of thoughts. Okay.
Subtle body has something called Antakarna. It has other things
Mm.
too, but it has
Mm.
Antakarna. The Antakarna has these four kinds of thoughts:
Okay.
Buddhi, Manas, Chitta, and Ahamkar.
Mm.
Okay, and this is good. Honestly, as we go more and more into it, abhi to shuru kara hai, we will be using these terms again and again and again. It will become second nature to you.
Mm.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So now I want to introduce another concept, and that is the law of karma, because which is central to Vedanta also. So what is the law of karma? Very basic. हम सोचते हैं अच्छे कर्म करो कल को अच्छा फल मिलेगा. But that is very superficial. Because कोई ऐसा आदमी है जिसने सिर्फ अच्छे कर्म करे हैं, है ना? और अगर तुमने आज कर्म करे हैं, वो जो फल मिल रहा है वो भी तो पुराने कर्मों का मिल रहा है. So it can get very confusing very fast. So what is law of karma? So law of karma, actually, when we really think about it, it subverts the way we think about bodies. Which, okay, let's go there. So all of us, we have many janams which have happened in the past. When I say I don't mean this physical body. Okay? What do I mean?
The subtle body.
Subtle
Subtle
body.
body. I don't even mean Atma right now because then there is no karam. Atma doesn't do karam, right? So I'm talking about the subtle body. So this subtle body has been living for a long time. It's been in existence for a very
Yes.
long time.
Yes.
And every time it does something, it accumulates karam. Correct? So
Yes.
today, you, the subtle body, have a whole portfolio of karams, a big bank balance of karams. Karams that you've done in the past. Some good karams, some bad karams, some in between karams. Right? सबने करे हैं. कोई ऐसा नहीं है जिसने कोई बुरे काम ना करे हों. कोई ऐसा नहीं है जिसने कोई अच्छे काम ना करे हों. And over multiple lifetimes, everybody has done everything. Pretty much. So there is this bank of karmas. Call we are in Vedanta we call them sanchita karmas. Okay, that's the whole big bank of karmas. Now, these karmas, the law of karma says that any karma has to be exhausted. If there's a karma has to be done, उसका फल मिलना पड़ेगा. कभी ना कभी कहीं ना कहीं वो फल मिलेगा. जब तक वो फल नहीं मिलेगा तब तक that karma is not going to sit quietly. It will have to get a फल. So आपके इतने सारे संचिता कर्म हैं. अब इतने सारों को एग्जॉस्ट करने के लिए आप कैसे करोगे? यू कांट हैव इन वन लाइफ टाइम, यू कांट एग्जॉस्ट ऑल दोस. इट्स जस्ट नॉट पॉसिबल. बिकॉज रिमेंबर, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द कर्मा that you have to exhaust, on that will depend what kind of body you're going to get and what kind of world you're going to go into. अब सपोज आपने बड़े अच्छे अच्छे कर्म करे, ठीक है, अच्छे कर्म करने के लिए उसका फल मिलेगा, आपको अच्छा फल मिलेगा. सो भगवान कहते हैं ओके, अच्छे फल के लिए आई वांट टू गिव यू अ गुड बॉडी, अ हेल्दी बॉडी. अच्छी आंखें, अच्छे नाक, अच्छे कान, हेल्थ, गुड हेल्थ. एंड आई वांट टू पुट यू इन एन एनवायरनमेंट विच इज वेरी नाइस फॉर यू. पृथ्वी के मतलब शिमला में डाल देंगे जहाँ पे बड़ी ठंड है. जिसने बुरे कर्म करे हैं उसको दिल्ली के सराय रोहिला में डाल देंगे. where there is lot of pollution. Right? So let's say that you've done very good karam. So you're going to be in prithvi or even swarg in a very very good body. Now that particular body and the particular world where you are in is only capable of exhausting certain kinds of karmas in a small range. All good karmas in a small range. You have a lot of different karmas. So at any one time you're given one body and one loka. It can only exhaust a particular sort or type of karmas. And those will be, if it's a good body and good loka, it'll be typically the good karmas. Maybe a little bit of range between good and bad. There'll be some sorrow here and there, but generally speaking, good karmas. But you also have a lot of bad karmas. How will you exhaust those? For that, you need the body of maybe you need the body of a snake or something. I don't know. Maybe you need the body of a rakshas, and you need to be in hell where there's constant fire going on. So for that, you have to go there. So one lifetime, one loka, one body cannot exhaust all your karmas. It can only exhaust a particular set of those karmas. So God, the way that Ishwar has created this is, he says, okay, I'll take, depending, I see a lot of karmas. Not just you have to exhaust karmas, there are different people have to exhaust karmas too. Let's say I've got to exhaust some very good karmas, and I'm with Sangeeta, and we are brothers and sisters, and we are both in a very good lifetime, good span. So Sangeeta also exhausting good karmas because we are both in the same environment, good environment. So God has to coordinate a lot of different things. The people who are with me, they also need to be exhausting karma. So it's a logistical problem, right? How do I make sure that everybody who's in a good place is worthy of that good place? So this problem is solved by God through the idea of something called the prarabdha karmas. So prarabdha karma, prarabdha means in Sanskrit, it means that which is started. It's called prarabdha. Okay? So sanchita is a collection, big collection. Prarabdha is that which is started. So what happens is, of all my sanchita karmas, some karmas will be taken out, which is the prarabdha karmas. And those karmas will be exhausted in this given lifetime. And at that time, Sangeeta will also have some prarabdha karmas taken out of hers, and those are also the good ones. And they are matching karmas, meaning they require similar kind of environment. So Sangeeta and I will be born at the same time in the same place, so we can enjoy the same environment. We need the blessings of elders, so we have the same elders, right? We have the same family, so we have this matching. But after this current lifetime, Sangeeta will go in a different way. I'll go in my own way. My next set of prarabdha karmas, which will come, may be very bad ones. And none of you have the next bad ones. You will all have good ones. Then I will find someone else who has those bad karmas, and my matching will be with that person. Correct? So the way that the karmas are in Vedanta theory resolved is through this process of taking karmas some at a time. The karmas which are taken some at a time, the body is given which is according to those karmas. The loka, which means the world in which you are going to be going, there are 14 different lokas. पृथ्वी लोक, स्वर्ग लोक, पाताल लोक, ये लोक, वो लोक, बड़े सारे हैं. विद्युत लोक, vayu lok. So you can go to all these different loks, and which one you go to also depends on the sanchita karmas which have been taken. So that is how it works. Now there's one more wrinkle, which is that when you are in a human birth, then you have the capability to do both exhaust your existing karmas, which are your prarabdha karmas, and create new ones. Remember, you could be, for some karmas, you could have an animal birth. I could have an animal birth. I could be a rabbit, right? or a dog or something. Animals do not have the capacity to create new karmas. They don't have choice. So animals can only exhaust karmas. So when I'm in an animal birth, I will only exhaust my karmas. But every time I get into a human birth, I exhaust karmas, but more than that, I generate a lot more. I mean, the number of karmas I generate are way more than the number of karmas I exhaust in a human birth. Because a human is a special birth where it's given a faculty of choice. That is why dharma is important. What is dharma? If there is no choice, there is no dharma. हम कहते हैं ना धर्मा धार्मिक बनो अधार्मिक बनो. Why? Because we have a choice. We can choose to be dharmic or adharmic. That is why law of dharma comes in. To an animal who cannot choose, there is no question of dharma. It's just doing what it's been programmed to do. So there is no choice, no dharma. Dharma is just the way it's being exhausted. So a human being, when is in a human birth, will generate new karmas. And some of these new karmas will get exhausted in this birth only. They are called drishta karmas. Drishta, the phala that can be seen right now. And most of these new karmas will not be exhausted in this world. What will happen to them? It's not that they'll be exhausted in the next birth. No. They will go and join your pool of sanchita karmas. Those are called the adrishta karmas. They go and join the pool of sanchita karma. Now, when will they be exhausted? Depends. Whenever they are scooped out in the next prarabdha or the one after, whenever it's taken out, will be exhausted. Okay? So this is the actual law of karma. It's not as simple as मैंने अच्छा काम करा आज और अगली बार मुझे बुरा मिलेगा या अगली बार ये मिलेगा. ऐसा नहीं है. But पहली बात तो मुझे mechanically, I have to ask you a philosophical question, but before that, I want to ask you, have you understood the mechanics of this? Sorry, you had
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So, from what I was reading somewhere very recently, that whenever you take a human birth, I mean, it is your antaratma or whatever, or the subconscious mind, because this is very different from animals.
Right.
And once you take a human birth, then it is very difficult to go back into, because I want to know what happens to that subtle body, what happens to that antaratma. When you take that new birth as an animal, what happens to that? Because whatever that you are doing now, whatever wisdom you are accumulating, or whatever subconsciously you are accumulating, goes with you in the next birth.
Yeah.
So, but when it goes with you in the next birth, when you're an animal, then obviously that subconscious, what happens to that subconscious?
No,
All the
so
wisdom that you've taken with
all
yourself.
the wisdom is, you think about it as punya, right? It's all
No,
accumulated.
not punya. Not punya. It's knowledge.
I
It's a
understand.
kind of a growth that you have
Correct, correct.
reached in this birth. Like for example, right now,
But it's punya
listening to
only.
this.
It's punya
Yeah.
only
Okay.
because at the end of the day, all this knowledge is what? It's a thought. It's an
Yeah.
understanding, right? So
Right.
the punya can be of many different types.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So
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 what happens when you go into the animal birth? Then obviously you cannot live through this human subconscious. Your
no,
habits.
no, it's not this human subconscious and animal subconscious is just your way you're looking at it. There's only
Okay.
an a subtle body. See, that's we are looking at it from the point of view of this physical body, this human being. हम सोचते हैं
Okay.
कि मैं ह्यूमन बीइंग हूँ, एनिमल वो दूसरा है.
Hmm.
हम सोचते हैं कि मैं ह्यूमन बीइंग हूँ, वो एनिमल है, वो दूसरा है, वो दूसरा
Hmm.
देवता दूसरा है, मैं तो ह्यूमन हूँ.
Hmm.
वेदांता
Hmm.
ऐसे नहीं सोचता. व्हाट इज ट्राइंग टू टेल यू इज कि तुम ह्यूमन नहीं हो, तुम सटल बॉडी
Hmm.
हो. ना तुम ह्यूमन हो तो ना तुम एनिमल हो, ना तुम देवता हो, कुछ भी नहीं हो, तुम सटल बॉडी हो. तुम इन
So
चीजों
you
के
take that.
डिफरेंट रूप,
So
या यू
do
जस्ट
you
टेक दोस
take that
रूप
subtle body with you
ऑफ नो.
Yes.
in the next birth,
हु इज द यू व्हिच टेक्स द सटल बॉडी विद यू?
or the subtle body goes into the next birth? I mean, what is it?
What is you?
Not me. Okay.
No, no,
That
no, I'm
that's the
asking you, who
that's
are
a.
you? Are you this, when you say are you take the subtle
I
body
am
with
the
you?
subtle body. I
Yes.
am the subtle body.
So what is
Yeah.
the question of taking anything? You're the
The
subtle
subtle
body.
Okay.
body will go.
Yeah, the subtle body will go from one body to another. That's it. You're going to shed off this physical body and going to take on
Okay.
the body of an animal,
Right.
right?
But then
Then you will
that
remove the
subtle
body of the
body.
animal, go to the next body of a human being.
Okay. So then, how is it that people have different habits?
Which
I
people?
mean, it is this. I mean, whoever the subtle bodies that come, they
Yeah.
have different antaratmas. They have different habits, and they. I mean, from what they say is that if you want to change a habit, do it for 21 days, and your subconscious it gets embedded in you. So that's free choice. That's free will.
No, no. See, all these things, we are talking Vedanta, okay? There are many
Right.
different philosophies which say a lot of different things. That's all totally fine. I'm prescribing to you what are the structural elements of Vedanta. That there is something
Okay.
called subconscious, right? That
Right.
subconscious is chitta. Now, whatever you do will go into your chitta. So आपने
Hmm.
कोई भी काम करे, कुछ हैबिट्स करी, जो भी करी, they are all going into your chitta. So
Hmm.
in your
Like that is the impressions you are,
the
gathering or
impressions that you, yeah.
sanskar.
Actually, no, sanskar is different.
Sanskar.
Sanskar actually goes into your causal body, which we haven't talked about.
Okay.
That is a
Okay.
different thing altogether. But I'm just talking about thoughts. So yeah, everything does go into sanskar, and the sanskars is
Hmm.
what you carry. And maybe the answer to her question is that only, which is
Yeah.
that there is something called a causal body, which is even more subtle than the subtle body, which carries the sanskar. But the problem is, I don't want to confuse you too much. I want to go step by step.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
we will get totally lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the next 5 or 6 lectures, you will understand all of this. But right now, what you have to understand is when you say change this perspective of yours, when you say मेरी knowledge कहाँ गई जो मैंने इस बार करी है, you are always you're unconsciously, subconsciously, you're thinking about you as this physical body. आप
Hmm.
नोटिस करो इस बात को, ठीक है?
Hmm.
एंड देन यू थिंक कि दिस फिजिकल बॉडी हैज अ सोल, वो सोल कहीं जा रही है. दिस फिजिकल
Hmm.
बॉडी हैज समथिंग. ऐसा नहीं सोचना है. अब आपको सोचना है आई, जो मैं अपने आप को आई कहती हूँ, आई एम
No subtle
द
body.
सटल बॉडी. दिस सटल बॉडी हैज दिस बॉडी टुडे. किसी की बॉडी अच्छी है, किसी की बॉडी गंदी है, कोई मोटा है, कोई पतला है, कोई
Hmm.
लंबा है, कोई छोटा है, राइट? कोई कोई ऑल काइंड. मेरी आंखें खराब हैं, मेरे को ऑल काइंड ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स. दैट डजंट मीन कि मेरी आंखें खराब हैं,
Hmm.
मेरी बॉडी की आंख खराब है. आपको ऐसे सोचना है, ठीक है?
Hmm.
मेरी मेरी बॉडी जो है इस समय उसकी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स हो रही हैं. उसको ब्लड प्रेशर हो गया है या मेरी बॉडी माय बॉडी हैज सम डिजीज. You start thinking like this so that you start imbibing the thought that what I am actually is a subtle body. So there will
Hmm.
be a next body that you will get at some stage. Hopefully not very
Yes.
soon, at some stage, which will be a different body. But what that body, if you have any influence on that body, it has to be with karmas. Not that you do a good karma today and you'll get a good body tomorrow. No. You keep doing good karmas, then the pool of your sanchita karmas will become more good karmas, more and more good. So the prarabdha karmas are more likely to be good. See,
Hmm.
what can you do? You can only say, I will do good karmas so that my sanchita karmas, which may have today, it may have 50% good and 50% bad. That means the next set of prarabdha karmas has a 50% chance of being good and bad. You can make it 80-20. If you can
Hmm.
make it 80-20, then the chances of getting better life are higher. It's not zero, right?
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So that is how you have to think. Now, all the other things that you're talking about, कि लोग ऐसे कहते हैं कि 21 days में ये होता है, ऐसे होता है, those are not Vedanta. Those are all different kinds of things that people say. But from a Vedanta perspective, those are thoughts. Those are, that's another thought. It's a thought in your mind. Ke, if I do this, then this will happen. It goes into your
Hmm.
antakarna. It is a thought. If it's an important thought, it will go into your chitta. The chitta is you, subtle body. And when you go to the next body, that thought will go along with you in the subtle body.
Yeah, so that is what my question was, that when it like a human goes into an animal body, then how does this subtle body, how does it manifest?
Yeah, yeah. So it's not right now. How is the subtle body manifesting? Tell me.
Nothing. It's just your thoughts.
Is your thought the same thing? Even in the animal body, there will be thoughts. Now,
It
what
will
kind of thoughts
remain
will?
there.
Huh?
It will remain there in the subtle body.
Yeah, it is all in
Your
the subtle body. But remember, your thoughts are coming. So there are two. I told you there are two ways in which thoughts come. One is through interaction with the outside world, right? That's the source of your thoughts. And another is your chitta, your subconscious, where you have no reason why suddenly you have a thought which you don't know where it's come from.
Hmm.
Some people say ये पुराने जन्म की बात है. Maybe पुराने जन्म की बात है. But it's coming from your chitta. It's coming from your
Hmm.
subconscious. So as an animal, when you have a next body, physical body as an animal, the thoughts that you will manifest as a result of interaction will be very different than a human being, because you'll be
Hmm.
interacting with other animals, you'll be talking about food maybe, and you'll be talking about sex. Those that will be your life: food, sex, pain, some very not very subtle, but that's what you have to go through in order to manifest some karmas that you have. They'll get
Hmm.
over, then the next janam you may be a human being. But even the animal has subconscious. The chitta will still remain. The thoughts in the
Hmm.
chitta will remain. They may not manifest exactly the same way as they will manifest as a human, but they will remain.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
time you can have the birth in the future in Swarg. Now,
Hmm.
Swarg is a very special case. This body doesn't work in Swarg, actually, because this body is not subtle enough to enjoy Swarg. Swarg, they say, has multiple more colors than we can see, more sounds than we can hear. It has different kinds of feelings and perceptions, which we don't have the instrument. Our outside instrument is not capable of dealing or capturing what all there is in the Swarg. So you need a special body. That body is the body, they say, is never gets old. There is no disease. So it's a very special kind of body in Swarg to enjoy the environment of Swarg, which is a very special kind of environment. The thoughts will also be different. The thoughts coming out of your chitta will also be different. So everything will be different. So
Hmm.
human birth is kind of in the middle, if you
Hmm.
think about it. The हमारी पृथ्वी कहते हैं वो middle earth है, middle. Patal is below, and Swarg and all is above, Brahmalok and all that. So, so I think the key takeaway from all this is that if you think of, is that number one, nobody. Okay, firstly, think of yourself as a subtle body. When you think of yourself as a subtle body, you'll think that you're taking on new physical bodies. And you'll see this is very important in the stroke number 20 or something, ऐसा मेरे को याद नहीं है number, is all in the Gita is about the body taking on new clothes. Just like when you have old clothes, you discard them. Similarly, you discard a physical body, you take on a new body. Just like you have youth, old age, death, youth, old age, adulthood, all that, bachpan. Similarly, you have just take on a new body. It's just a progression. There's nothing special about it. हमको लगता है एकदम special because हमारे लिए the end of this physical body is the end of everything. But Gita doesn't think like that. Gita says, no, think about yourself as a subtle body. This physical body is just one little minute in your day or a second in your day. That's how you have to think about it, huh? So that's first thing. Change your perspective. And you will, even if you're not, right now you're being forced to, but by the end of this Gita classes, when you read it, you will change your perspective. There will be no much option, okay? If Gita has been taught properly. That's one.
But why some people have, very great sufferings before dying, and some people go away suddenly? They both shed
So
their
Didi,
bodies.
let me finish what I was saying. Okay, then I will answer your question. Okay? So this
Okay.
is first thing we have to understand. The second more subtle point that you have to understand is we have a tendency, and this is very subtle, okay? And see whether this is you agree with it. We have a tendency to think about people as bad and good. वो बुरा आदमी है, बुरे काम करता है, ये अच्छा आदमी है. जैसे दीदी कह रही थी about the conscience also. Some people have a conscience. But if you actually take a longer perspective and take the person perspective of the Sukshma Sharir, right? You'll realize that everybody has Sanchita Karmas. Everybody. And those Sanchita Karmas are so huge that there are a collection of bad and good. There is no choice. I may think I'm very good. I'm a brilliant guy. मैंने गीता पढ़ ली, मैंने वेदांत पढ़ ली, अब मेरे को बहुत बहुत पहुंचा हुआ हो गया मैं, ऐसे मैं सोच सकता हूँ. But that is silly. Because this is only one little portion of me. In this physical body, in this lifespan, one portion I'm very proud of. But you think bigger picture. This is one of many, many lifespans. This is one of one prarabdha karma set of many, many sanchita karmas. Everybody has a collection of good and bad karmas. I may be very fortunate right now that my good karmas have been, uh, fructified as prarabdha karmas, and I have the company of people like you. So I feel very good. But it doesn't mean that that's all I have. And the same with you. The same with everybody. The worst person you can think of, you can say the prarabdha karmas being manifested of that person right now are not good. That you can say. But to say that that person is evil, that person is bad, is a stretch. You're going to struggle with Vedanta if you think like that. Okay? That's the philosophical understanding of the law of karma. The results are not of the person, the bad results. The results are of the karma. There's a difference between you and your karma. You will see this in Gita. Gita says a lot about this. It first describes what karmas are and how good karmas bring good results, bad karmas bring bad results. Then it shows you that try to differentiate between the karma and the person. Right? That is the source, that is the way to find who we are. Because if we keep thinking and saying, मैं तो वही हूँ जो मेरे कर्मा हैं, then I will never know what I really am. I'm only lost in my karmas. Because I identify myself with my karmas. मैं कहूँगा मैं तो अच्छे कर्मा करता हूँ, मैं अच्छा हूँ. Then I don't know who I am. The point is not understanding the karma. The point is understanding what is it who is doing these karmas. What is it who is gathering good karmas and bad karmas. For that, you have to make a dissociation between the karmas and the self which is doing the karmas or seemingly doing the karmas. Okay. So the law of karma is it's a very deep law. If you really think about it, it points to the heart of Vedanta.
So who's the self who's doing the karmas?
Good question. You want the answer right away. Well, I can give you the answer right away. The self is the electricity, the atma. But it won't mean anything to you right now because you don't know how to think about it. You don't know, what it means, how to understand it. So we just have to go gradually. to understand it. For now, if you can understand that you are a sukshma sharir, that you are the subtle body, and you have a set of karmas, and those karmas are being fructified, and they get fructified over a long period of time, that is a good thing to understand at this moment, step by step, right?
Yeah. And so, but then this is endless because you will always keep adding to your sanchit karmas. So
It's not
this is
endless.
endless.
I can tell you it's not endless. But for now, yes, it seems endless. If there's nothing, if this is all there is, then this is endless. But this is not all there is. When you come to Gita, when you come to Vedanta, you are, what you're doing is you're saying, see, all this life that we have lived, all that we've lived is because of karmas only, right? It's the karmas which are bringing us into this janam. It's the karmas which are bringing us this world, this body, and everything. And most of our lives, what we've done is we're trying to do better karmas, good karmas, so that we can get a better body. This has been our effort all the time. Better body, better experience, better mind. We just want to become better. We want better experiences. So we want to do better karmas. We may not always know what a good karma is. We may sometimes be confused. We may sometimes want to do good things but end up doing bad things. It's all that is possible. But our desire is always to do good things. Why? So that we can get good experiences. Whether we like it or not, that's our whole goal. If this is what you will continue to be, then yes, it's endless. But this is not all there is. At some stage, you realize this is endless. Just like you said. That I can try and try and try and try and do only good things, but I will always end up doing some bad things also. And sometimes I will get swarg and sometimes I will get narak, and sometimes I will get an animal and sometimes I will get a man. ये चलता ही रहेगा.
ये
At,
चलता रहेगा.
at some stage, you are going to say, oh my God, is there anything else? And when that happens, is there anything else? Then you come to Vedanta. That is the state of Arjun. अर्जुन ने कर्म करते करते सब कुछ कर दिया. अच्छे कर्म करे, ये करा वो करा करके. But then he finally landed up in a situation like, why? I mean, I did everything right. मैंने कुछ नहीं करा. Why is it that the two people that I love most, Bhishma and
And
Drona, why did they choose to fight with the enemy? They chose to fight with what is clearly adharma. They made a choice. They could have joined Arjun and said, "Tu dharmik hai, tu acha hai," but they chose Duryodhan, who's clearly adharmic. Why? Arjun was lost. This karma thing, because it's maybe there is some old karma जो अर्जुन ने कभी करा हो, जिसकी वजह से उसको ये फल मिल रहा है अब, right? होगा जरूर. In spite of all the things, like I said, this prarabdha karma, in your sanchita bank there are all kinds of karmas. So कुछ करा होगा. But Arjun got tired of this. He said, I'm done with this. Please, Bhagwan Krishna, help me. Tell me, get me out of this. मुझे मुझे इससे कुछ नहीं मिल रहा. Now, what will happen? He lost even interest in the kingdom. You remember in some of the things he said, अगर मेरे को ये kingdom भी मिल जाएगी, तो मैं क्या करूँगा? I don't even want my kingdom. I have nobody left to enjoy it with. I'm done. Right? So, this happens to all of us at some stage. We realize, maybe not as dramatically, but we realize that this karma back and forth of again and again and again and again, this karma is just a cycle. How do I get out of this karma cycle? That is the question to which that is the answer is coming from the Gita. The real answer from the Gita is not how to do good karmas and what are the good karmas to do. The real answer of the Gita is how do I get outside this chakkar of karma
By
and
surrendering
stay
it to
happy.
God.
Surrender to God is one means, right? But it's not only surrender to God, it's understanding, it's through knowledge, it's through understanding what is it that I am. Why am I always looking for something better? Even when even when I'm saying I'll do good karmas, right? अच्छे कर्म करके अच्छे experience मिले. I'm looking for something better. I'm not happy with the state I am in. That is why I'm doing good karmas. You have to understand this. If you were happy with the state you were in, you would not be doing good karmas. You wouldn't care good karmas, bad karmas. You're not happy, you want something better, you do good karmas. Why do I constantly want something better? Why am I not happy? Is there any reason why I should not be happy with the state I'm in right now? Any reason? You think about it. That is what Gita answers. And you only know this when you know yourself. If you don't know yourself, what will you know whether you should be happy or not happy? Right now, we know ourselves as an incomplete person, an unhappy person who doesn't have this, doesn't have this. उसने पाप करे, उसने करेगा, anxiety है, ये है, वो है. This is how we see ourselves. We see ourselves as incomplete, unhappy, sort of. I mean, sometimes we are happy too, but we see ourselves as people who, are wanting,
Uncontrolled.
are lacking in something. We are trying, बच्चों का ख्याल रखेंगे, उससे करेंगे, अपनी ड्यूटी करेंगे, उससे कुछ मिलेगा, भगवान की पूजा करेंगे, शायद उससे कुछ अच्छा मिल जाएगा. We just trying to get something better,
Craving.
craving for something new, something better. That's because we don't know our own reality. Fortunately for us, our reality is that we really don't need anything better. If you really think about it, think about how much you have lost through the course of your life. Just this life. How many things you've lost? How many things you've gained? How many things you've lost? And are you at a very different place than you were when you were a kid? Like really, we're at the same place. Akhila and all are very young, so it's hard for them to answer this question. But the rest of us, we can. Maybe Sangeeta also is very young. But anyway, so this is the question that Gita addresses at the end of
I
the
have
day.
another question.
Okay.
So my question is that just now you said that we always want to do good karma. We do good karma that like it's a cycle. I'll do good. I'll get better. I'll get a better life. I'll get a better body, whatever. But in the process, sometimes we do the bad karma
Yeah.
also. Everybody does that.
Yeah.
So is that also coming from your sanchit karma that you do that bad karma?
No,
You're
no.
adding it.
It's Phil, that is the difference in the human life, right? If as an animal you do the bad karma, it is coming from your sanchit karma clearly. But in the human life, you have choice.
Mm.
That is why if there was no choice, there'll be no Gita.
Mm.
If there's no choice, you're doing what you're doing anyway. तो गीता का क्या फायदा? गीता तुमको बता रही है ऐसे करना है वैसे करना है. That's because you have a choice. That's why there's Gita.
I think that free will comes here. No?
The free will comes here, the choice comes here, the dharma comes here. But the problem, what Gita, which we'll go into soon later, is that there is another cycle. This is the cycle of karma. There's another cycle. That's the cycle of desires. Which is, we have desires. And we have to fulfill those desires. And sometimes in the process of fulfilling those desires, we do bad karmas. So karmas are not completely in our hands. हम कहते हैं कि हमारे हाथ में है, but actually it's not so easy. They're not in our hands totally. आप कितना भी निश्चय कर लो, मैंने अच्छे काम ही करने हैं, but we are not that strong. We have desires. And they overtake us.
Expectations भी तो होती है ना फिर
Anger, we have
expectations.
anger, it overtakes us. We lose our ability to, बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो जाती है, जैसे कहते हैं ना. So understanding that, understanding how those desires are there, why those desires are there, how can we deal with those desires, that is what will lead us to an understanding of who am I. Okay. So I think we've done a lot today. So I have another sort of little video snippet that I will send you. It's on the law of karmas, just like I sent you about the jivas. So if you haven't seen it, do see it. The jiva one. This is also 15 minutes or so, so not very big, but it describes all the sanchita karmas and everything. Just see it. We are not going to go into this again. So just go through it and see it. Okay?
But,
And Didi, I remember your question, right? I'm going to address it next time. Okay?
Okay.
Or I'll call you
And,
about it.
but is it bad to think if we do the karmas, good karmas, or we do the job to add to our good karmas, that is a wrong thing to think?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying that is how we think. It's not wrong. It's better, it's better than saying I will do bad things. You have to do the good things. All we are
But,
saying is that has limited use. You still are in the circle. It is even better to know yourself. That's all.
Mhm.
Know yourself that as a human body, we are not human body like that.
Right now,
We are,
the knowledge that you've got is that I'm Sukshma Sharir for the moment.
yes,
This is the first
yes,
step. Okay.
that's all.
Then from there we
Chalo,
will move on.
Mm.
chalo, thank you, Nittu, thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I mean,
Okay,
Chalo.
thank
today
you.
has been very, very, something that is a lot of
Fruitful.
food for thought.
Yes,
Yes,
Good.
quite a
yes,
lot of
This is
food for
Vedanta. It's
thought
not me. This is
and
Vedanta. I'm telling
very
you, our
confusing.
Didi, our culture is so rich. It's so deep. I mean, when I used to see these things, I was like thunders. I could not believe it. That these are the thoughts, exact same thoughts and ideas which were there 5,000 years ago. What have we done in 5,000 years?
Mm.
It's just
Finding
amazing.
answers to the
Totally
same
amazing.
thoughts.
Yeah, it's just great stuff. Chalo, next
Yeah.
time.
Thank
thank
you. Thank you
you,
so
Nittu.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.